to the O'Neill Show.
So I think I will now start to accept, your point of view that O'Neill is a flip flop because the truth of the matter is, the characters flip and flop so many times that really and truly, my call is going to change because I'm trying to call it as, even keel as possible. Let's go.
Are you really about to do this podcast with Shayla? And I know, listen, I know I was the one who said I think it would be a good idea.
Right.
And I get it. But going into business with her, the woman who almost ruined your marriage, the woman who you still can't really trust, and I don't think you're going to go in there and air her out. So I'm wondering, like, why?
I asked myself that question at one point, at least when she first asked me about doing it.
Okay, so let me give you my take on this. I would have really believed that with a failing business, right, and with all of the, hey, Anthony need to help with this failing business and with this downwardness that Amber has been projecting, I would have been thinking that should have been working on that particular business. I didn't know that the podcast would have taken precedent over that. Someone says, well, O'Neill, she could use the podcast to promote the business. Yes, she could, but she doesn't need that right now if you're going to get a marketer. Because the marketer is going to be doing all of that anyways. And they're probably going to get it on bigger podcast platforms than you could ever get on. Plus, she doesn't need a podcast to do that. She could just approach Wayne. Hey, Wayne, I have this business. Can you please, put in some ad spots with the restaurant on the podcast? So in other words, she doesn't need to be on the podcast to be promoting the restaurant. That's what I'm saying. Plus, the podcast is a messy podcast. So that's also another thing. The branding of the podcast may also affect the restaurant. No one is looking at that.
But Keysha, I saw the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that?
To get even closer to Wayne.
So okay, you getting all the bags, the marketing bag, the comedy bag, Wayne,
Keysha,
the comedian.
no, not like that. I'm not talking about getting close to him in a relationship. I'm talking about business. See, Keysha, I have always been able to see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Kountry Wayne podcast. He is a megastar.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, why not use this opportunity to secure my bag? I mean, God forbid anything happened with me and Anthony, but if something were to happen, I don't want to be out on the streets. I want to have my own money.
Okay. I don't like this thinking because it is the most flawed thinking ever. This now sounds like what Anthony's talking about. Because you're talking about a woman who's with a millionaire of a man, okay? Regardless, let's say the man don't help her, but he has the money and the wherewithal. And she has not leveraged any of that funds. And she's saying, if something happened to Anthony, she'll be out on the streets. Let me ask you the question. How will Amber be out on the streets? Amber is able to see all of the accounts that she can see as of right now. So she know what monies are in them, right? Which are over $1 million. What exactly is she talking about? This now sounds strange. You're talking like a regular person who is struggling. Like Amber sounds like a person who is living in poverty and is struggling and is just barely making it and has to say lines like these. I can't rock with this if that's what she's talking about and if that's the drive that she has in her head, because she's now stopped to think like what she really is. She's thinking about what she's not. It's almost like she's thinking like a Shayla then, in other words, which is interesting. But anyway, let's go.
Like this restaurant, my rental property, all these different things, Keysha, I want to have my own. And I feel like this podcast presents a big opportunity for me to make a lot of money and have my own. So I'm not doing it for Shayla or to be friends with Shayla or to be close to Shayla. I'm doing it because I see the bigger picture.
So let's just say the podcast gets cancelled and it fails then. Because that can happen to it as well. This is why I don't just go with this little thing that she's trying to give us right here. It sounds good in theory, but come on, friends. You already have a restaurant that you're working on. Why not create a restaurant and do what you're doing with your restaurant? Look here, I'm not saying you can't be on the podcast as a guest personnel, but to do a podcast all the time with these girls every day while you have a business you're trying to start up seems kind of like you're doing too much at one time.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not. You actually sounding like the Detroit Amber is back.
Well,
It's feeling like you grew up right in the heart of the city now. Okay.
94 cash.
94 cash.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm not mad at that, actually. And if you feel like it's gonna make you happy, and is you doing something for you, you're choosing you in this, then I support that, Amber. Because you know I'm pro Amber taking care of Amber, looking out for Amber, putting Amber first. And if that's what you feel like this move is gonna do, then you keep your eyes open on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Then
Aye, Captain.
I guess I can sign off on it. I just want to make sure because no, I see you in here working hard. You're doing your thing. You're a businesswoman, and even though yeah, it hasn't quite paid off yet in here, like you still come in every single day. You still give it your all. I see your faith. Um, you're deserving. You're very deserving of happiness in every area of your life.
It just feels like a woman showering another woman with praise. So while I love Keisha, and I think Keisha offers great, advice on different things. This one of those times where I may have to, step back because I feel like it's too much lathering and not enough truth and substance. Just like what she could have given Sheila the truth this morning that she not going to be a wife. So much so I think that she needs to give Amber the truth, Keisha here, because the truth of the matter is spend some time with your restaurant if that's what you're doing.
Thank you, Keisha.
Especially in your marriage, especially in your love life. And so, if whether it's chocolate Wayne or chocolate marketing guy,
Good night.
if chocolate is
Go to bed.
All right. So what I feel to me like is like and again maybe that's what I'm saying. It's feeling to me like Amber has, like Una said, checked out of her marriage. And if you have checked out, then it means then that she need to go file for a divorce. But being here trying to make it look like you are this broken down woman who has no monies at all, it it's pushing it. It's reaching. It feels like the Amber character is reaching. You're reaching into a realm that you're not in. Like you're not that broke and you're not that destitute. So to be making and be out on the streets just don't sound right. It sounds fake. Yes, it sounds fake. I guess what we're seeing is exactly, it sounds like what Anthony's talking about when he must say, you're needing other people to do other things versus just working on what you're working on. What I'm hearing is different things. What I'm hearing is Amber becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none. But anyway, give me a take. I'm gonna talk to you soon.